Welcome to the Near Memo, a weekly conversation about search, social, and commerce. What happened, why it matters, and the implications for local.
But if I can get, this is what I said yesterday, if I can get the same information without the ads and without the clutter that I think is now pretty pervasive on the Google search results page, I'm going to use Bard every time, because Bard also does other stuff that you can't do with search as it exists today. Now maybe it'll change with the search generative experience, SGE. But I think Bard is very interesting. And I think one of the things that happened yesterday, notwithstanding the sort of tepid nature of the presentations, is that Google has killed Bing GPT's momentum. I think they basically said, we're going to do all the same stuff that it looks sort of like what Bing is doing. It's the new conversational mode, the way that they're presenting results. It kind of resembles what Bing is doing. And I think that they answered the Bing challenge enough to keep people using Google. There was some suggestion from a piece I saw in the information that, Microsoft is now looking for search partners like Firefox because their momentum has kind of topped out or plateaued. And, maybe that's true, maybe that's not true. But I think, when Bing was radically different from what Google offered, it was pretty cool and interesting and something to use. But now that Google is essentially going to match it feature for feature, people who are comfortable with Google are going to stay at Google. They're not going to switch, I think.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what the talking heads say once we can play with Google search and this new version of Bard. When does the new features in Bard, when do they get rolled out, did they say?
They were vague about that. Coming weeks, etc., is sort of what I recall the language being.
Right.
Some of these features are pre-announced and it takes months for them to roll out. But I gather they're going to add some stuff to Bard in the not too distant future, in the next month or two, probably. But it's fascinating to me that they've in Google's mind, I think you're exactly right. They don't see Bard as a search engine. They see it as this tool that can be used for a variety of use cases, integrated with some of their other products. Search is a standalone product that is their flagship. But they've kind of created I think they're hedging in a little bit, and they've created a kind of parallel universe, which is cross-pollinating, cross-fertilizing. And it will be interesting to see whether over time those things come together, whether Bard is, dropped, or whether Bard grabs meaningful share from Google. It probably won't, because, as I said, it's too weird for people. Most people, they don't kind of know how to relate to it, but over time that may change.
Well, we're here to find out.
Yes. And there's sort of nothing I think we can say to SEOs or local SEOs at this point that is clear. Everybody will still have jobs, I think. SEO still has an important role to play.
I would say that the knowledge graph is more important than ever. Having a finite point of truth to inform these AI tools seems incredibly critical to me. That you need the structured data so that in an organized way fed to these things so that they're relying on something that has a semblance of truth to it.
Well, and data, as you're suggesting, maybe becomes more important. That becomes the differentiator. Right. The thing that struck me about these partners for ChatGPT, but even more for Google, is if Google's
why will we keep needing them if Zillow feeds all their stuff into
precisely Google? It's the problem that happened when Google became hegemonic, is that suddenly you can get enough information from Google that you don't need to go to these third-party sites as much anymore, and that's the zero-click problem. And if OpenTable is going to give over its entire data set and all the functionality that it offers directly. If they're an exclusive partner, maybe that works for them. But if they become just one source, it's problematic, and it has a negative impact on their brand. I mean,
Google has a long history of going from exclusive partners to non-exclusive partners to building the products that get the most traffic themselves. That path has been repeated over and over again. So
I mean, in the future, the antidote to all the garbage that we're going to see generated by AI, all the thin content, all the bland content, all the generic content, is going to be brands that have carefully protected the integrity of their content, their information. I mean, Eric Schmidt said, the former CEO of Google said, and whenever it was 10 years ago or 12 years ago, brands are what separate us from the cesspool. Well, there's more cesspool coming, and the brands need to be very careful about guarding their reputations and their value, because people will want they won't want refuges, to get away from the tsunami of crap that's coming. How do what Amazon doesn't recognize, what Google doesn't recognize, or doesn't care about, perhaps, is that the more fake content, the more counterfeit products, the more fake reviews, the more spam, the more deleterious, the more negative it is for the brand, the more dilutive of the brand. And
yeah, I've stopped. I never search at Amazon anymore. I never have. And
well, I buy things on Amazon, but I don't start on Amazon anymore. One final point about Amazon. One of the things that I said that was kind of interesting one of my own ideas that I found very interesting myself. What I mean is, one thought that I had that I think is interesting is, this is the self-congratulation hour, is the idea that Google could win back share from Amazon. Google's strategy has been to pair online e-commerce product with local inventory. It can take those two things and give people the ability to search for, I need an e-bike that has this kind of range in this price range, and show me where I can buy it online, and show me locally where I can buy it within 10 miles of my residence. You could start to ask that query, and then Google could bring all of its data to bear on that question, and that would be fascinating. A combined, the shopping ads give you a little taste of that, but some combined result that would show you, precise results in a price range that you could buy online, and who had those same bikes locally in stores. That would be really fascinating. And if you could do that, and do that elegantly, then people are going to start abandoning Amazon, because Amazon cannot match that query. They do not have the capacity.
I think what you've explained is what Google's goal is. Certainly. And we've been seeing this building up over the years with this increasingly granular local data, product inventory, the showing in local search of these items. And if you can compress the whole journey of exploration and decision into a local purchase, I think if that becomes the search behavior, then Google's in a good position for it.
Well, if they deliver that information, if they deliver the result, then that will become the search behavior, because I know I can get a result for that query. Right. And that's not something that you could ask for bike near me, and they would show you e-commerce because they have that data, and they would show you some of that information, but the presentation of it was problematic at best. And if they can sort of present that in a better way, simpler way, more reliably, I think they've got a winning product, at least in product search, which is the key to retail ad revenue, which is one of their big drivers of growth. All right. David will be back next week, and at some point we will have a special interview with Darby Sieben, who's the Chief Product Officer of Unbounce, about how they're integrating AI and what he thinks of the future as all these SaaS companies bring AI into the mix. So continued adventures in the world of AI for us, with a local focus on that. And everybody, tell your friends about Near Media and the Near Memo. Keep listening, and we love to hear from you.
Thanks for joining David, Mike, and Greg. To stay on top of the latest developments in local, subscribe to our newsletter at nearmedia.co. We'll see you next week.